Well, welcome along to this short video mini-series focusing on tax planning, and I'm delighted to be asked to host this mini-series by Sean Hughes, who is the Principal of Comprehensive Tax Planning. And Sean, we're going to be running 5 videos looking at different aspects of tax planning for landlords and property investors. We're in March 2021, we've had the budget recently. Why did you think now was a good time to actually have this mini-series?
Yeah, well, there's been, over the past 5 years, a hell of a lot of changes for landlords when it comes to tax planning in the UK. And I just feel now, with the budget that Rishi Sunak gave a couple of weeks ago, there's a little bit of stability now for everyone, including landlords. You know, we know what corporation tax is going to be doing for the next couple of years and hopefully a few years beyond that. Today, actually, there's some consultations being issued, so we might be able to comment on that later. But yeah, I just feel there's a bit of stability now. People know where they're going, so they need to make plans, yeah.
Yeah, indeed. And I think if we sort of backtrack a little bit, you know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, buy-to-let, one of the attractive things about it was that it was very tax efficient. Yeah. That has changed in the last 5 years or so. And I think that really highlights to landlords the importance of tax planning and getting professional advice.
Absolutely. I mean, like you say, anybody who entered the landlord game 7 years ago, they've had the goalposts have moved completely in that time. So what we look to do with our tax planning that we offer to landlords is to help them level the playing field and, you know, put them back on an even keel, you know, and try and, you know, reclaim some of this tax that they've lost or incurred over the past couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, tax is always a trending topic on the property forums, and you know, one of the key questions that landlords ask is, should I incorporate? And that's one of the topics that we'll be diving down onto a bit deeper later on in the series. But you know, I think it's always important on a regular basis for landlords just to reflect on where they are in their business and just double check that they've got the right structure for them, because, you know, as we say, if you work with a professional tax advisor, they will end up, you know, whatever it costs to work with them, they'll save that for you in tax many times over.
Absolutely, that's exactly how it should be. Yeah, kind of the clients that we work with, you know, we obviously charge them a fee. We're not a charity, but the savings they make off the back of that, you know, hopefully in a lot of cases they're 10 times the amount that we charge them.
Now we've kind of finished the kind of full rollout of Section 24. We've had you know, incremental rollouts over the last 5 years, and it, you know, Sean, it's so surprising. Some landlords are still not aware of it, and they've only kind of paid attention to it because they've suddenly ended up with a much larger tax bill. Yeah. And so I think, again, the timing for this series is good from the point of view that landlords that suddenly realise, ouch, you know, I am affected by this, and you can help.
Absolutely, yeah. I think there are some people, like you say, who have kind of completely buried their head in the sand when it came to Section 24. What I found over the past kind of 6 to 9 months is I thought people looking to restructure would have done it, you know, by then, to be honest with you. But what I found is a lot of people have kind of actively sat on their hands. So they've let the, you know, different schemes and planning opportunities, you know, come to fruition, see what's happened, which ones have had HMRC inquiries, which haven't, which have completely fell by the wayside because they were a bit too sophisticated, if that's the right word. But yeah, some people have actively sat on their hands. They know what the budget is now for the next couple of years. And now they're actually making moves to either incorporate, form partnerships, you know, whatever might be the right thing for them to do. And I think that's probably sensible in a lot of cases, really. So now is the time to act for a lot of landlords.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because I was one of those landlords that kind of kept my powder dry and wanted to see how it all panned out. I was regularly in touch with my accountant each tax year, you know, assessing my situation, and it turned out that actually I was in the right format for me, and that's good to know, even if it just gives peace of mind, you're just from reviewing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people who get in contact with me, you know, from your forum or from other places, you know, probably 2 out of 5 people who get in contact with us, actually staying as they are is the right thing for them to do. You know, if you're profits aren't taking you into the higher rate threshold with the Section 24 adjustment, then staying as you are from an annual taxes perspective is the right thing to do. Obviously, there might be inheritance tax issues that we need to look at, and there might be a different structure that's needed there. But yeah, staying as you are can be the right thing to do in a lot of cases, but just getting that assurance, is worthwhile as well.
It is, and you've hit on such a valuable point there, because tax planning isn't just about how much tax you're paying, on an annual basis. It's actually your entire strategy and how, when you come to exit your portfolio, you're going to mitigate your tax liability there as well. So there's a very, very big picture for landlord tax, isn't there?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's not as easy as just saying, oh, everybody should do this structure or that structure. Anybody who's offering kind of a one-size-fits-all solution is probably wrong most of the time. And very rarely as well is there a perfect solution. What we try and marry up is making sure individuals pay as low amount of tax year on year as possible, but then also to pay as little on death as possible as well, or on passing it on to the next generation. Now, unfortunately, and it's maybe not what the viewers want to hear, there's very rarely a perfect solution whereby you pay the lowest amount of tax every year and you pay no inheritance tax on your passing as well. Usually there's a trade-off, and it might be that if you want to pay the lowest amount of tax every year, you've got to pay some inheritance tax on the back end. If the roles are reversed and you want to pay no inheritance tax, then maybe you've got to gift property throughout your lifetime to reduce that inheritance tax exposure. But that means you've either not got the income during your lifetime, which may or may not be possible or viable for some people, or you've got to pay a higher amount of tax year on year to get that saving at the end. So unfortunately, it's never or very rarely, a kind of perfect solution. There's going to be some tax leakage somewhere. It's just finding what's right for you based on how you think your circumstances are going to be for the rest of your life.
Well, it's such an important point about saying that there's not one size fits all. And, on a forum, we can answer hundreds of thousands of different landlord questions and problems, but generally when people come onto the forum asking for tax advice, it's one of the very few instances where I say actually you do need to seek professional advice, because it's so bespoke to the individual circumstances, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And the things that the information you'd be willing to put on a forum that are needed to actually give that tax advice, you wouldn't want to give. So yeah, just getting, good tax advice, preferably from somebody who's qualified, although I would say that as a chartered tax advisor. But there's a lot of people out there who are not qualified, who can say whatever they want about certain bits of tax planning, whereas I, as a tax advisor, chartered tax advisor, I'm not allowed to say probably a lot of things I'd want to say sometimes, because we have professional standards. Everything we've got to be able to back up with legislation or guidance, or give some explanation as to why I'm saying what I'm saying, and hopefully that will come across in this series where we talk about, I give reasons behind why I'm saying certain things. But yeah, taking the advice from somebody who's qualified, they've sat some exams, they've got to maintain those professional standards. Personally, I think it's crucial. And what I tend to say to people, and it's maybe not the best analogy, but if the boiler goes in one of your properties, you don't just get any man down the road to come and look at it. You get somebody who's Corgi registered, somebody who works for British Gas to do it. It should be the same with tax planning. Don't just go down to your mate down the pub. Go to somebody who's qualified, who knows what they're talking about, and whose full focus is on property tax planning, because it is quite a specialist niche as well, the property element of it. And general accountants don't tend to have that knowledge.
No, I think that going to a specialist niche property tax advisor, I think, is a really, really good tip, because as you say, it's very in-depth knowledge that you need to understand it all, and it does change from time to time as well. And having an advisor that has that really niche knowledge is really worth its weight in gold. So in this video series, we're going to give a kind of broad understanding of the different tax strategies available to landlords and property investors. And Sean, actually there are so many of them. We hear of different ones coming through all the time. And I think it's just really important that landlords know what's out there and know who to go to for advice.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'd actually suggest getting more than one opinion as well, because there are a lot of contradictory opinions out there by different people. And really, I'd suggest landlords go to somebody who can explain it clearly, simply, and back up what they say.
Fantastic. Okay, well that is it for the first instalment of our tax planning mini-series powered by comprehensive tax planning, and tomorrow we are going to be discussing what is a trending topic across all the property forums, and that is, should I incorporate? So join us tomorrow for the next instalment and we'll see you there.